Hello and welcome to The Ordeal. So we have this professor here, Harold Schmidt. He's a professor of ethics who thinks that whiter elderly should wait for the vaccine so that we can level the playing field by, eliminating white people in our culture. So we're going to take a look at this article and a couple other things regarding this professor of ethics. But before we do that, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am not getting much traction on my YouTube channel, and I want to reach 100 subscribers by the new year, which is about 9 days away now. I need to get about 6 subscribers. So, hey, we can do that. 6 subscribers in 9 days. I think we can do that. Please watch my video to the very end because the algorithm does not pick up my videos and promote them very much. And if you watch my video to the very end, it will be more likely to be promoted by the algorithm. If the algorithm is not promoting my videos, please share this video with as many people as possible. I don't know what the algorithm is doing to me, but if you share it with more people, I'm going to get more views, I'm going to get more supporters, I'm going to get more subscribers, more likes, all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Now, moving on to the article. Professor gets heat after saying whiter elderly should wait for vaccine. This is him right here. This is Assistant Professor Medical Ethics and Health Policy, Harold Schmidt of the University of Pennsylvania. Guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I was an ethics student when I first went to college. That was a long time ago, but I studied ethics when I was first in college. That was my favorite subject matter. That was what I focused on, philosophy, the philosophy of ethics. An ethics professor at the University of Pennsylvania sparked a heated debate by suggesting essential workers should get priority for the coronavirus vaccine over vulnerable senior citizens because the workers are more likely to be minorities. Well, it's probably okay to say, hey, I think essential workers should get the vaccine over the elderly. I think that they are the group that we should prioritize. But as soon as you say, hey, we should do it because they're minorities, now we have a problem. There's a big problem. Older populations are whiter, Harold Schmidt told the New York Times. Society is structured in a way that enables them to live longer instead of giving additional health benefits to those who already had more of them. We can start to level the playing field a bit. Wow. That is racist. That is super racist. Harold Schmidt, you're a racist. And oh, look at this. Here, you look like you have blue eyes and white skin. I'm guessing you're white. Do you maybe have some, elderly relatives that might not get the vaccine and then die because of COVID, because of your policies? And why don't we go to other countries? Why don't we go to Africa and say, hey, you know what? White people outlive you here because of the way society is structured. Really? Think that's the case in Africa? I mean, maybe it is, but where are you getting this idea from that society is structured in a way that makes white people live longer? Maybe it's actually because we allow cultures to express themselves in our society that are not, you can express yourself however you want to in our society. So it's not a matter of society going, hey, look, white people are going to live longer. We're going to make it easy for white people to live longer. It's a matter of, hey, the people who are minorities don't go to the doctor as they should. They engage in more risky behaviors. How many single mothers are there, but percentage-wise, how many single mothers in the United States are white, are black, are Hispanic, so on and so forth? If you're becoming a single mother, it shows that you are engaging in risky behavior. Most of the time, not always. I mean, some single mothers are widows, of course. Some single mothers are divorced. So that does happen. But moving on here, the Centers for Disease Control should use its own social vulnerability index to decide how to protect older people who are more at risk, Schmidt said. The index uses measures from the census like poverty, unemployment, disability, housing status, and education to determine which countries are most likely to feel the impact of a public health emergency. At least 18 states plan to use the index. At least 221,000 of those who died from COVID-19 were over 65, or about 80% of the total deaths recorded through Wednesday, according to the CDC data. Those over the age of 85 are 630 times more likely to die from the virus than those aged 18 to 29. CDC director has said he believes priority should be given to people 70 and older who live with children or grandchildren, the Daily Mail reported. Nursing homes in New York are expected to get vaccines starting Monday. That was, I believe, yesterday. Schmidt's comments provoked criticism from those who pointed out that nursing home residents can't socially distance and may be of all ages. It's fine to call for vaccinating essential and frontline workers first, said commentator Brenda Tippin, who identifies herself as a biologist. But you had to elaborate and identify the elderly population as being whiter and point to that as assumption they had more privileged lives, and it's time to level the playing field. Inexcusable. Yeah, it's inexcusable. The notion that we need to kill off white people so that minorities, people of other races, because they're not minorities, people of other races have more options. And what makes you think they're going to have those more options? I mean, if you go down to, say, South America, there's plenty of Hispanic people there. Why don't they have the standard of living that we have in the United States? You know, there's more Hispanic people there. So increasing the percentage of the population that is not white is not going to improve the standard of living. If you look at Mexico, lower standard of living than the United States, more Hispanic people live there than white people by far. So do you think that making the population of the United States mostly Hispanic is going to make the standard of living higher for everyone or lower for everyone? Just a thought, putting that out there. You figure it out for yourself. Others argued seniors who've been isolated for months on end are literally dying of loneliness. Really, do you have stats to prove that? And that he was arguing that the elderly are not only non-essential, they are actually quite expendable. Okay, then, you're an evil person. When I was studying ethics, we looked at a lot of different theories, a lot of different ways ethics has been implemented throughout history, throughout societies. And we looked at how ethics is being used today. Well, this was years ago now, and I'll talk about that. But the notion is that we take utilitarianism, which is something useful, which he's saying right here, the elderly are not useful, they're expendable. Utilitarianism and the golden rule. Would you like to have that treatment that you're giving to this other person? Right? So would you like to, Mr. Schmidt, just not get the vaccine because we don't need you? You're not essential. In fact, you are not essential. You're an ethicist in a field that has been well established for generations now. The golden rule and utilitarianism are both very valuable. He's focusing solely on utilitarianism in his argument here. Oh, they're not essential. We don't need them. Get rid of them. So what about people who are in comas? What about unborn fetuses? What about people who have been through some sort of accident or trauma or something and they are no longer functional? What about these people? We just kill them? I mean, they're taking up space. They're taking up valuable real estate. They're taking up valuable resources. We just kill them. What about your pet? What about your cat? Is that a valuable thing? Unless they're killing mice and you need them for that, your cat doesn't serve any purpose other than companionship. So should we just stop having cats as pets? This is ethics today now seems to have taken a different turn, which Harold Schmidt here is illustrating perfectly. It's all about getting rid of white people. This is not about equality. This is not at all about equality. It's not even a little bit about equality. It's about killing white people. That's what it's about, getting rid of white people. His Twitter mentions have filled with memes that said things like Old Lives Matter and screenshots showing a chart that puts white men with the shortest life expectancy at 76.71 years. I don't know if white men do have the shortest life expectancy out of all groups, but there you go. I don't understand how you can be considered an ethics professor, posted a user with the handle Portia Smith. Your worldview is anything but appalling. Right. It's an appalling worldview because ethics now is about getting rid of white people. If we go to, this is the one that we're just looking at. Where's here we go. Daily Mail. So the Daily Mail here has a very, very long article. We're not going to go through all of it, but it's the same sort of thing here. It says, revealed every single U.S. state is being advised to consider ethnic minorities as critical groups for vaccination, with half prioritizing black and Hispanic residents over whites. That sounds like it's illegal. It's a violation of the equality laws, equal rights laws in the United States. You're not supposed to discriminate on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, so on and so forth. Half the U.S. states mentioned racial equity as their plans for vaccine rollout. Of these, 12 states specifically mention efforts to reach diverse populations. California, Louisiana, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Indiana are among those who have listed equity as a key principle for vaccine distribution. New Jersey, California, and Kansas will focus on improving access to the vaccine by targeting transportation issues. New Mexico will focus on Native American communities. Many states will be focusing on their communication to black communities who have shown an increased hesitance to take a vaccine. Get an editor. In the U.S., black and Hispanic people are almost 3 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than whites. Really? Okay. So are those stats accurate? One. And number two, why? Is it because white people are trying to keep them from getting healthy? Or is it because of their own cultural choices? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's because they practice differences in culture. It has nothing at all to do with race. It has to do with, hey, you have a different culture. And we allow that to flourish here in this country that is predominantly of European heritage. Every U.S. state has been advised to consider ethnic minorities as a critical and vulnerable group in their vaccine distribution plans, according to the Centers for Disease Control guidance. As a result, half of the nation's states have outlined plans that now prioritize black, Hispanic, and indigenous residents over white people in some way as the vaccine rollout begins. According to our analysis, 25 states have committed to a focus on racial and ethnic communities as they decided which groups should be prioritized in receiving the coronavirus vaccine dose. Some states have made even more specific plans to prioritize communities of color, with 12 states specifically mentioning efforts to partner with healthcare providers in areas with large minority population to reach diverse populations, according to a Kansas Family Foundation. So this is the map here. Every state that I have lived in is blue, which are the states that are giving preference to minorities, except Georgia. I've lived in Georgia, and they're not giving preference to minorities, which I guess, that makes sense since Georgia is mostly minority. So is California, though. California is mostly Hispanic. Whites only make up like 37% of the population in California, something like that. So Hispanic people make up 40% of the population. Here we go, look. Black people are getting vaccinated. This is a black nurse, another black nurse. So these black people, they have no access. This article claims black people and Hispanic people don't have access to the vaccine. Looks to me like these 2 black women here work in healthcare and therefore have access to the vaccine. Okay. There's a lot of stuff, and it's a really, really long article, so I'm just going to kind of skip over. They say, right here, Latinos make up 60% of the COVID cases in the state of California, even though they are 40% of the population, with farm workers being significantly affected. Governor Andrew Cuomo echoed these thoughts in New York. We know that our black, brown, and poorer communities have fewer healthcare institutions. He said last month, their communities too often have healthcare deserts. Okay, well, yeah, poor people. Poor. If there's a black community and they don't want to have a hospital in their community, or it's easy access for their community, well, that's on them. If they're, why does it have to be about race? If it is about race, it's because they're adults and can make decisions for themselves. If it's about poverty, that's a different story. That has nothing to do with race. I can get behind that if you want to roll it out based on poverty levels. Okay, we can get behind that. Kansas healthcare officials have said they will be keeping communities of color in mind as they make further decisions on the vaccine, according to 41 Action News. We have a wide representation of tribal organizations, ethnic and racial minority groups, different socioeconomic groups, and beyond that, faith leaders, medical bioethicists. Alongside California, New Jersey, Kansas will also focus on accessibility issues by targeting transportation hubs to spread information about the vaccine and looking into sending mobile vaccine units to communities where many people may not have a car. Why don't you have a car? Who doesn't have a car in California? I mean, seriously, nobody walks in LA. There's a whole song about it. Nobody walks in LA. The public transit in LA is terrible. That's why there's so much traffic in LA, because everybody has to have a car. Black people would be next. Here, recommendations from Melinda Gates. Black people would be next, quite honestly. After healthcare workers in receiving the vaccine, they're having disproportionate effects from COVID-19. No, it's not a racial thing. If it were a racial thing, I could get behind it. If it's legitimate, it's like, yeah, if you are born black, you have this genetic marker, that means you're more susceptible to the virus. Okay, I agree. They should get priority. 100%, I agree with that. But this is not a racial thing. This is a cultural thing. You make these choices yourself. You're an adult. You can choose to do different. And they go on to say things like, oh, these minorities, here's more minority women getting the vaccine. In the U.S., black people and Latinx people are almost 3 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than whites, according to the CDC, due to economic disparities. Okay, so whose fault is it that there are economic disparities amongst black people and whatever Latinx people are? Whose fault is that? Is it white people's fault? So why are white people being punished for that? Like I have said, if you go to South America, there's a whole lot of non-white people there. Whole lot of them. Brazil is rich in resources. It's a huge country, almost as big as the United States. They got plenty of resources. They can take advantage of the situation, and we've shown them the model. We've shown them the way. Be like us, have free democratic society, and then you can prosper and have a high standard of living. They don't, though. Why? It's not. I'm not going there and saying, hey, don't do this. And I'm no expert on foreign policy, but I'm sure that the United States is not going down there and saying, hey, you have to stay poor or else we're going to invade your country. That would be ridiculous. Come on now. I know that they have the whole rainforest thing, but they're getting paid for that and stuff. So this is all just part of getting rid of white people. I've said this before. So here's the deal. There is a push to get rid of white people. It's really becoming obvious now with this Professor Schmidt here saying that we need to level the playing field. And I've heard of some things happening now in Hollywood, which I'm peripherally involved in. People who would never get onto the woke agenda. This is all part of Briefold's law. And you're going, what's going on here now? Briefold's law, what is this? Why can't a woman be more like a man? Women rule. See, Briefold's law says that women rule. It was developed by an anthropologist, and we'll look at it more closely. See, all I had to do was, once I started hearing about this stuff happening in Hollywood, which I suspected and I've said it before, when you look at the media, TV, what do you see? You see interracial couples, a lot more now too. It's happening a lot more. And these interracial couples, what are they? Almost every single time, it is a black man with a white woman. Almost every single time. And I was skeptical about this. I was like, this seems, it happens a lot. Is there like a conspiracy for this to happen? But it's happening so much more now. And from what I'm hearing in Hollywood with people who would never be woke are just, we'll make a woke product because, hey, that's what the people want. It is a push to get rid of white people. Now, like I said, most of the time what you see when you see a couple on TV, commercials especially now, you see it's a black man with a white woman. Sometimes you'll see it the other way around, where it's a white man with a black woman. Every once in a while you'll see that. And then sometimes you'll see like a different racial mix, and usually it's a white woman with a different, like a Hispanic man, a Middle Eastern man, an Indian man, something like that. Rarely do you see it where the woman is not white. We can even look at this when we go to interracial couples. I just typed in interracial couple. Look at all the black people and white people together. Why are there no like Asian people with black people or Hispanic people with white people, or and I'm in an interracial relationship, so don't think I'm like dogging on interracial relationships. That's not what I'm talking. I'm not saying it's bad. It's that's your thing. Fine, go ahead and do it. But I counted these up already. There are 12 images of white women with black men. There are 5 images of white men with black women. And then there's 2 other weird images that are not apparent. Like this one right here, I can't tell if that's a Hispanic man or a black man. So, I mean, the push is to get white women, to be with black men. Why would that be the case? I mean, hey, having an Asian man with a black woman is just as progressive, right? That's just as progressive as having, say, a white woman with a black man. It's because of Briefold's law. What does Briefold's law say? Briefold's law maintains that the female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family, where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male. No such association takes place. And we'd use relationship instead of association today. For this bit of wisdom, we have Robert Briefold, an English surgeon, anthropologist, and author, to thank. I do not present Briefold's law as fact, nor do I dismiss it as fiction. It is something to think about, and Briefold gives us even more to ponder. And this is from a man who has an MBA and a PhD. We already know, of course, that women wield the ultimate veto power in the mating game. I argue this all the time with women. I don't have any power. Men have all the power. You're the one who decides who I get to be with. Right? If a woman is single, that's on her. That is 99% on her. If a man is single, that's like 1% on him. It is women who give thumbs up or thumbs down to any advances or proposals from men. Like I've been saying forever. Briefold embellishes this truism by asserting that intimate relationships between men and women result from a calculated cost-benefit analysis by women. Will she or won't she acquire a net gain from any relationship with a man? This does not necessarily mean monetary gain, although it might. Other types of gain might be social status, sexual compatibility, anticipated future happiness, emotional security, and male's capacity for fatherhood. Men, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yes. Women have all the power. I keep telling people this. Women have all the freaking power. It's just quieter. It's just not obvious that they have the power. And that, I think, is where we're running into these problems. But this goes back to my point is, hey, who's making the decisions and who gets to have babies? Women. So if the going theory is, this idea is, hey, if we show a bunch of relationships and it's a white woman with a black man, white women are going to have this model of, oh, the person I should be dating is a black man. I should be having babies with a black man. And thus you breed out the white race because they're trying to kill white people. It has nothing to do with anything other than they want to kill white people and they want women to be dominant. Those are the two things they want. They want white people dead and they want women dominant. It's so obvious what is happening now. There's no question in my mind. The things I've seen and heard over the last year here, yeah, this is what's happening. There's no question anymore to me. Before I could maybe be like, there's just racism, or hey, maybe it just appears to be this idea that we should get rid of white people and men, or should be subservient. Although the man thing, actually, that one sailed a long time ago. It was so obvious to me that women were trying to be dominant a long time ago. Now it's becoming obvious that they want to get rid of white people too. There's no question that it's not just racism. It is an actual effort to get rid of white people. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Merry Christmas. I will see you all soon. Have a good day.